Hey guys, how's it going? It's Janie over at Janie Sweets, and in this episode, I'm coming at you with a super simple Elmo cake. I bet you no kid is going to be able to resist this. I mean, hello, it's Elmo, but it's extremely easy to make. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how. I'm starting out with my white chocolate raspberry cake, and what I do is I make a regular vanilla cake, and then I put a layer of white chocolate ganache and then some raspberry buttercream in the middle, and it's super delicious. I can definitely show you how to do that. If you want to learn the recipe, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll be happy to make it for you. Then I'm going to crumb coat with I guess just regular vanilla buttercream, but I've also mixed in my leftover raspberry buttercream because I don't want any of the raspberry pieces to show under my fondant. Once that's done crumb coated, I'm going to lift it up and put it in the fridge to set for a little bit. In the meantime, I have here some yellow fondant that I'm going to roll out pretty thinly. This is thinner than I normally would roll out my fondant, but what happened is I didn't have enough fondant. I didn't color enough fondant, so I just rolled it out really thinly and I made it work, so it was fine. So just roll out your fondant and then cover your cake in that manner. So you just put the fondant over the cake and then pull out, and then in no time it's going to cover it. Then go ahead and start working on Elmo's face. So I'm gonna roll out some red fondant, not too thin this time. And then I have a picture of Elmo that I've just put up on my iPad, but you can also print it if you want. And I'm going to trace over it with a piece of parchment paper, and just go ahead and roughly outline where you're gonna cut out later. So that's around the eyes, the mouth, the nose, and everything else. Just make sure that your picture is going to fit on top of your cake, and then grab your red fondant, put a little bit of Crisco, and then put your picture right on top. Then go ahead with an X-Acto knife and cut away at the hair, like all around it. What happened is it's hair, so it doesn't really matter how you cut it, it's gonna look fine. But once you put the Crisco on there, it's gonna suck the parchment paper onto the fondant and it's not gonna move while you're cutting. So just also cut an opening for the mouth, and then cut around the eyes, and then just use your hands to fix everything. Then roll out a piece of black fondant pretty thinly, and then put a little bit of water or gum glue and lay that on the side that's going to be on the cake. So you want the black to be on the opposite side of the face, and then cover everything in some gum glue or water, and then place it on your cake just like so. Then roll out a little bit of white fondant. I've cut out the eyes, and then I'm going to cut around them. I started using an X-Acto knife, and then the fondant was too soft, so it was ripping on me. So I switched to a pizza cutter. And you gotta be flexible when you're a cake decorator, because things will not work. But just go ahead and cut around it, and then use your hands and your fingers to smooth everything out. Then once you're done, you can place it over Elmo's face. Then I'm going to use a piping tip to cut out the black part of his eyes. And I'm just going to put a little bit of gum glue or water you could use as well, and put that right in the middle of his eyes. And there you go. Then I'm going to grab my template and press on a bit of orange fondant. Sorry, it's a little blurry. The camera focused on the cake instead of what I was doing, but you get the gist. Just go ahead and do that, and then put two little spaghettis in the nose so that it will stay in place and it's not gonna move. I didn't put toothpicks because, I mean, kids are gonna eat it, so I figured spaghettis would be better. Then I went ahead and poked some holes all around the cake in a polka dot pattern, and that just made it easier for me to follow as a template or as a guide. And then go ahead and cut out different colored dots and then place them all over. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my name. I'm going to actually start in the middle and then write the other letters around it, because if you start in the middle, you'll be sure to be centered. So you place the middle letter first and then all the other letters around. And the little boy's name was Matthias, so that was pretty easy to spell out. And then once you're done with that, the cake is done. So just place that aside and then start working on your board, because you got to cover the board to make it look, you know, pretty and fancy. So roll out some blue fondant. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be thick. It's literally scrap fondant. Nobody's gonna eat it. Just make sure that it's the same size as your board. Cover that board with some Crisco, and then use your hand and a fondant smoother or a rolling pin to press everything onto the board. And then once that's done, go ahead and I have this tool from Wilton. It's like an embossing tool, and I'm just gonna go ahead and roll over it to give it a nice little impression. I thought it looked really cute. And then I'm gonna grab an X-Acto knife and just cut out all the pieces that are hanging, because you're not gonna need that. You can also grab a pair of scissors or a paring knife, or a really sharp knife, Then once that is done, you can go ahead and work on your ribbon. So I have here some blue ribbon that I'm going to glue onto the board with some hot glue. And it's fine if the hot glue touches the fondant, because no one's gonna eat that fondant. You don't want to do that on the cake, but on the board it's fine because no one's gonna eat it. So then go ahead and clean up everything and then put some water onto your board. You can also put royal icing or anything that's going to help the cake stick to the board so it doesn't move around. Then place your cake and you're almost done. You just have to grab your ribbon and place it around the cake. You can also do like piping or any other kind of border out of fondant, but I just use the same ribbon that I used around the board. And then voila, that's it. The cake is done. I told you it was easy. It looks intimidating, but it really isn't, and you definitely can pull it off, and I bet you no kid is going to be able to resist this. So again, thank you so much for watching. You can check out my last video if you click this annotation over there. You can subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Definitely give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Share it with all your friends. You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram. My socials are at Janie Sweets. See ya next time, guys. Bye.